So I'm back again. I'm gonna be doing another interview in the same day actually. I'm really excited with this one, like y'all don't even know. This is gonna be an interview for a lady who, actually, how am I telling you guys this? Y'all are gonna wait for the video. It's super excited though. Definitely stay tuned. Welcome to another episode of Hustling Cowgirl. I'm here to interview a really awesome woman today, but I'm not gonna say anything else because I'm gonna let her introduce herself. So you go ahead and tell everybody your name, your business, what you do.
Okay, I am Tammy Osborne, and I own Feathered Darlin, which is a online and mobile boutique.
Awesome. And so obviously you have the bus, which I think is absolutely gorgeous. So when did you start this business?
Okay, so I started the actual online store in August of 2020.
Okay.
And I had dreams of opening a brick and mortar eventually, but then I started doing events like with a pop-up tent,
right?
And realized that going where the people were made more sense to me than having a brick and mortar where people would have to come to me.
Right.
So after battling some weather and different things with a pop-up tent, we decided we needed something mobile. So I had seen people doing utility trailers and that type of thing. I saw somebody do an Airstream, and I really wanted an Airstream, but they're quite expensive.
Yeah, for sure.
So we started looking at school buses, and this one came up for sale locally, and we bit the bullet and bought the bus.
That's awesome. So every part of this bus inside is just super, every detail. I just love how it's all super well thought out and all cohesive and decorated. So do you feel like that kind of lets you, I know you said you want to do a brick and mortar, does that kind of let you get your creative side out?
Yes, absolutely. Yes, it's like having an actual store, a little bit smaller probably than I anticipated, but it's unique. It gets a lot of attention wherever we go, so that in itself definitely made it worth it.
Right. And then when you bought the bus, did it need a lot of work, or is it mostly just redoing how you wanted to have it done?
No, it was an actual it was a school bus obviously to start, and then it was a church bus.
Okay.
So it still had the seats. It was quite old. There was gum in all the window seals, candy wrappers everywhere. I mean, there was rust in the floor. It was in pretty bad shape. It was about 5 months of working every weekend with our full-time jobs to get it renovated.
Right, okay. So what were the steps, starting out, building up this, not even just the bus, but just your, boutique and business in general?
Well, I didn't really know much about owning a boutique. I worked in retail for years, several years ago, many years ago actually. So I had some merchandising experience and a little bit of retail experience. I knew nothing about opening my own business. So it was a lot of Googling, a lot of watching YouTube videos, getting information from different people in Facebook groups, that kind of thing, and just learned as I went. I started a few months ahead of when I planned to launch and got all my ducks in a row, and it's been really good since.
Awesome. I guess, for you, some people sometimes start a business not knowing what they want their business to be. They just want a business. I guess that would kind of more be the opposite for you, wouldn't it? You knew what you wanted, but I guess growing the business on top of that.
Right, yeah. I knew I wanted to do clothing. I've always loved fashion. It's a very creative industry. I'm a very creative person. It gave me the opportunity to, do something that I loved and still have a little bit of creativity with it.
Okay. I guess you kind of already explained a little bit about it, but what inspired you the most, to do, I know you said you worked in retail, but obviously what inspired you most to do, even just the Western kind of fashion industry, what inspires you even to this day to do it?
Okay, so I've always liked the Western style, and then I really got more into the boho style over the past few years. So I kind of wanted to have a little bit of both. I do say it's boho Western, but it's not like hardcore Western or hardcore boho. It's just like a little bit of middle line of each. So, as you can see, I have the hats and the fringe, and, I love fringe. It's always been my thing. That goes with the Western and the boho. So, it's just been a style I've always liked. So I really wanted to have something that, I believed in myself that I would wear to offer to everybody else.
Right, yeah. I know with, this bus being super awesome, it's not like, you have to do too much going to pop-up shops marketing-wise because it's, so unique and people just automatically drawn to it. But, with your online boutique and everything, what do you do, what is the majority of what you do for your marketing for your boutique?
But mostly it's, social media because, everybody knows that's where it's at. You know, that's where people go to look for information. So I do a lot of Facebook ads. Whenever I have an event, I'll promote it usually a couple of days ahead of time and focus on the area where I'll be, you know, pushing it out to that location. I do TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. I did a little bit of Pinterest. I don't do a whole lot with it. But I try to stay relevant as far as, you know, posting often and being unique and different about what I do post. Once I got the bus and started posting about the bus and the process, it really sent like my followers like.
Sure, yeah. I guess
so. It's definitely getting a lot of attention on social media as well.
For sure. Yeah, I know the bus renovations, even just, you know, turning to a boutique or turning to a home or anything that they do, it's super trending right now. So
Definitely.
What would be your most prominent in, like, you know, you said you do Facebook ads and then, you know, TikTok and all the social media pages. What would be what brings you the most attention, or where you have the most audience, or biggest audience, I guess?
Probably TikTok right now. I have 15,000 followers. I just hit 15,000, which I never dreamed that would ever happen. But once I started posting about the bus, like I said, it really got a lot of attention. The bus is named Mobiline.
Okay.
So it's a mix of Mobile and Jolene, because I'm a big Dolly Parton fan. So Mobiline is her name. And I started doing videos of the process of how, you know, we did everything, and I did it from as if the bus herself was telling the story. I gave her a little, you know, sound effect and everything, and people just loved it. You know, it was different. I think you have to find that something unique that's going to grab somebody's attention. You can't just get on there and say, "Hey, buy my stuff."
Right,
you know,
for sure.
You gotta have something a little different.
Yeah, I know. With everybody using social media now, you know, like you said, it's really important to find that one thing that's going to separate you from, you know, everybody else. So, going off of that, do you think that would be kind of your biggest, what would be like your biggest, you know, there is already not a lot of boutiques on wheels, but, you know, with there being some already still, what would be like your biggest standout for you? I know, you know, your niche, I guess, is already kind of a standout too, but for you personally, what would you think that your biggest standout would be?
I mean, in general, just the bus itself, and I think, you know, a lot of people will, when we're at events, will walk by the bus and they'll look at it and they don't know if they should come in or not. And then they come in, and my favorite part is when they walk in and their eyes just get really big and they're like, "Oh my gosh," you know. I don't think they know what to expect when they walk in. So I think just you know, like you said, the little details make a difference.
For sure.
You know, you've got to have. You can't just throw some clothes in here and expect people to come in. You know, it's got to be like a whole experience.
Right.
As far as, you know, the way it looks, the way it smells, the way it sounds. You know, music going. So I try to, you know, just incorporate a whole shopping experience, and I think that's what makes me stand out a little bit more.
Okay, yeah, that's awesome, because like you said, with not being a brick and mortar, it honestly, I can't really tell the difference. It's just, I mean, it's even better obviously because you can go around, but it's really awesome. You know, I know you've been up it for a while now, but do you have any, like, you know, future plans that you want to do? Maybe changes that you want to make? Have you learned anything in the past that you're like, maybe I'll try this differently, you know, going forward?
Well, actually getting a mobile boutique was the biggest goal that I had. I haven't looked much further than that so far. But I would eventually like to get to where we can go to different states. Right now we're just staying locally in the NRV. But I'd love to travel outside of, you know, Virginia and maybe, you know, get a few more customers, more followers. I do ship a lot online, and I don't ship internationally yet, but that's a goal too, is eventually get international sales.
Okay. So, you know, with your online store, is that, where do you, you know, mainly do that? Is that, do that in here? I know you ship orders and stuff. Where is kind of your, I don't know, like base, I guess, for that?
In my house.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
We built an addition onto my house
awesome.
when the business started to pick up. So I do all my shipping out of there.
Okay.
So I've shipped, you know, to almost all 50 states. I'm almost made it to all 50.
Awesome.
So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's kind of where mine's at right now, but you know, not to this level, obviously. You know, every business uses something different, and I know Shopify is really big right now. What would be like your, I guess, like point of sale, your systems that you use? Do you have like a website domain that you have?
Yeah, I started with Shopify.
Okay.
So I do use Shopify. I use it for my online and for my point of sale. I built my website through Shopify on my own. So I've used that for everything because it integrates, you know, the mobile and the online side. So I'm able to keep up with everything, and I've been really happy with it. It's been really easy to use, and
Okay.
So I wouldn't probably change anything about that.
Okay, and it works pretty well with Mobilize too. I mean, I guess online's mobile too. So
Yeah.
But so let's see. So being a woman in this industry too, I like to ask this question a lot with being a woman too. Is you find any like pros or any cons to being in the business world as a woman?
I haven't really experienced any cons.
Okay.
I think the pros is definitely as women we tend to be able to multitask a lot, and so I think you definitely have to have that when you're trying to balance a family, a full-time job, a side business, whatever it is. So I think that definitely helps when you are running your own business, that you're able to, find that balance and, do everything that you need to do.
Okay, yeah. I don't know if, for me anyways, it's hard being online. I'm trying to get out and more into like with this face-to-face, where I've kind of been hiding behind the website and just like pushing that. So I don't know if I've really experienced personally me, but I like to ask that question, because going forward too, I want to know people's opinions and stuff like that. What would be your, you don't have to say exact number obviously, but what would be for you, your highest maybe month, year in revenue, and maybe what do you think contributed to that?
So I've definitely had the best year I've had with the bus. We've had some weekends where we've, done a Saturday and Sunday that have grossed the highest numbers that I've had.
Oh,
so
wow,
definitely, like I said, getting out there to where people are and letting them see who you are makes a difference. An online store is great, but people aren't going to know who you are if you don't put yourself out there for them to see you. So, definitely the weekends that we have events and I'm out there, I'll see a boost in my online sales following that, because people may come in and they'll see something that they didn't grab while they were here, and they'll go online and buy it. So
yeah, and I love this coming from like the customer standpoint. I'll go to like online boutiques and stuff, and me personally, I'd be like, I don't really need that jacket or whatever. And if I'm in a store and if I see that, if I saw it online, I might be like, maybe next time. But when I'm actually in the store, I'm like, okay, I need that like right now. So I think that I'm sure that probably helps too.
Yeah, being able to touch the clothes, to try them on, and to see what they feel like, and definitely helps a lot.
Yeah. For anybody who wants to, me included, anybody wants to do exactly what you do as far as even maybe not boutique, but like a mobile business, what would be your 3 biggest recommendations, what you would say that were really important for your business that helped you?
You have to have the determination. You've got to be willing to put in the work, got to definitely have a good mindset. You can't let yourself get down when you have an off day, and you just got to want it. That's, I've seen a lot of people who've had businesses and they'll run them for a few months and then they give up, and I'm like, there's definitely times when I've wanted to give up. And I had to remind myself, why I started.
Right.
And if you really want something bad enough, you've got to believe in it, believe in yourself, and you just got to keep going.
Okay. Yeah. Do you find that, I guess it also varies how many pop-up shops you do and things like that in the month, but do you find that you get more customers here or more customers on the online store?
Probably here right now. Online, I do pretty well, but definitely the boost in sales has come from having the mobile boutique.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, I know you kind of already said this with me asking about the other question before this, but what would be for you personally in your business? What would be the most important thing in your business, and what keeps it running? And
good customer service is important. I do with my online store, and I have since the beginning. I do offer free local delivery in Giles County.
Okay.
So, if someone buys from me online, I will either meet them somewhere or drop it off at their door.
Oh, awesome.
And when people come in, I make sure, that they're taken care of, whether it's a return or, if they need help picking something out, you've got to, you're the face of your business.
Okay,
and you want people to see a friendly face and a helpful face. And so that's the biggest thing for me, is just making sure that the customers are getting what they want and they're taken care of.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's kind of lost too nowadays, like with the online presence.
Right.
It's, you can just like I do hide behind the screen. But I think that that's kind of lost, and it is really important because that kind of brings your customers back. So,
right, exactly.
My other question is, and this is kind of I like to hear these opinions from other people because I'm kind of in this boat right now. But in a business, obviously, there's so many roles being played. There's the financials and the bookkeeping, and then there's the actual face of the company. And all that. And so for me, there is some things that I'm like, I wish that I didn't have to do these. You know, I'm not super fond of them. I wish I could hire somebody else to do that. Right now, being so small, I can't. But what would be, you know, for you, something that you're like, okay, I wish I could, you know, use my time for this and not for, you know, that.
Yeah, definitely the numbers part, the back end. My husband does do our taxes for the business at the end of the year. I just hand that all off to him because I don't do well with numbers. Math is not my thing.
Yeah.
So if I didn't have to do, you know, a lot of that stuff, that'd be great. I'm a more creative person, like I said, so that's where I feel like my strengths are. I know that I have to take care of that end as well too. That's part of the business, obviously, but that's not the funnest part. So.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I'm kind of obviously I'm willing to do it because I want the business, but it's, you know, that part's I'm like, I wish I could do without.
Right.
What is the biggest thing you've learned? You know, not even just with the mobile, but you know, in your general business, what is the biggest thing you'd say you've learned? You know, it doesn't necessarily have to be a mistake. You know, something that you're like, okay, well maybe I should have done that differently. Maybe I did that too soon. You know, did you find anything like that in your business?
The only thing I can think of is, like when I first started out, I was worried about, you know, the pricing and overcharging, or not overcharging, but charging too much. And you know, you kind of like, oh, you know, I really, is that too much, you know? And then I learned, you know, you have to make your profit, you have to have a good margin. And so people will buy the product if it's a good product and if it's something that they really want. You know? So you can't be afraid of, you know, pricing your things to where you feel like people aren't going to buy them. Because you have to make your money back. I mean, if you're going to own a business, you have to have your profit that's going to keep you floating, you know?
Right.
So that was definitely one thing that I had to learn, was not to be afraid of the pricing side.
Okay. So with that being said, that's also something I'm struggling too. How do you, I mean, I'm not going to ask you exactly, you know, your method of pricing, but what do you say, you know, for your pricing? Because I know you also have to include time, because it takes a lot of your time in the business world. And then with online orders, there's like all the packaging that comes with it. So how do you kind of figure the pricing out for your items?
It depends. I usually try to keep, you know, a certain margin in mind when I'm pricing things. Sometimes if something costs a little more, you know, I may not charge quite as much because I don't want to get above what my customers are used to paying. And then sometimes there's things that you can buy that you can charge a little more. So I try to keep, you know, a certain margin in mind, a percentage when I'm pricing things, and knowing what my customers can afford, because I know what I can afford when I'm shopping, and I know what area we live in. You know, I'm not going to charge what they might charge, you know, up in Northern Virginia. You know, we're, you know, down here in a smaller area, rural area, so I try to keep in mind that everybody has a budget, and I know what my budget is, and I want people to be able to buy things on that budget as well.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I kind of, so with my first business, it's handmade stuff, and that was my biggest problem, was, you know, knowing the time. And my biggest thing was like, I don't want to make people feel like they're like paying way too much for something that wasn't, you know, in my mind I'm like, isn't it worth that much? But then I'm like thinking about all the time that I put into it, and you're like, you can't short yourself. So that's always been my struggle. So I don't want to take up too much of your time, but if you want to let everybody know your you know, your social media handles and where they can find you, basically.
So the website is feathereddarling.com. And then on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok, it's just at Feathered Darling Boutique.
Obviously, if you're in the area, the mobile boutique, and it's super awesome. So
yeah, and I always have my events listed on my website, and as well as my social media.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. So yeah, thank you so much for doing this with me, your time. And I definitely, you know, learned a lot, and you know, seeing this too, it really inspires me a lot, because like I said, this is like one of my dreams. So so yeah, thank you so much for doing this with me.
Alright, so we're back. Anyways, so we just interviewed this super badass woman, and she's got this super cool boutique. Obviously, like I showed you guys in the video, it's obviously a mobile boutique. It's a bus. It's literally my dream. It's so freaking amazing. And so if you guys are in the area, definitely check her out. And if you guys are not in the area, check out her boutique, because like I said, amazing. Anyways, so you know, I learned a lot for sure. If y'all learned a lot, please hit that like button and definitely subscribe, because I can make more videos just like that. I'm also gonna throw that out there that she's like incredibly inspiring, because like, you know, I mean, every day I'm always like watching YouTube and trying to find anything I can to inspire me, because I live in a small town, and so there's not a ton of big stuff going on around here, so YouTube is my thing. But checking her bus and just listening to her story was like incredibly inspiring. And if you like that stuff, like I said, watch it. Obviously, if you got to the end, I'm pretty sure you watched it. Unless you fast forwarded and you're like a weirdo, then whatever. Anyways, so I'm tired now because it's like, I don't know, it's late. Anyways, and I get to put this laundry away. So yeah, subscribe, like the video, and I'll be making more content just like this.